Hey, good morning slash afternoon, everyone. This is Carolina Weather Authority's meteorologist Joshua Nagelberg with the latest on Hurricane Delta. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and show your support. Leave some comments as well. I do ask that you make them productive. We do not want to see any sort of divide over our social media channels. So I appreciate the comments and questions, and I will do my best to answer them in the order that I can. Here is our forecast for Delta, and of course the window is now narrowing. We are starting to see the storm make a turn a little bit more to the north-northwest and should make a northward turn overnight into the morning tomorrow. Currently we have a Category 2 but strengthening hurricane. Our official call is that the storm is going to strengthen steadily this afternoon, tonight, and maybe first thing tomorrow, reaching a peak intensity as a Category 4 storm in the northwestern Gulf. Probably sometime around this time tomorrow into tomorrow evening, and then gradually should slowly weaken to a Category 3 early on Friday, with landfall probably going to be either a high Category 2 or a low-end Category 3 near the Cameron and Vermilion Parish line, or perhaps somewhere 10 miles east or west of that, which of course is not the news anybody in southwestern Louisiana wants to hear, as a lot of folks are still out of their homes and dealing with significant damage from Hurricane Laura. But unfortunately, this track leaves a lot to be desired for those folks. So I'm going to wish you all the best. Please know that my prayers are with you guys to get through this. A major storm for Louisiana once again. So the track will take it through southwestern Louisiana with the strongest winds near and to the east of the center. The storm is growing in size, so that's going to produce effects all the way over to New Orleans, we believe, maybe even some storm surge into Mississippi and Alabama, although it won't be as high up there. But some very significant storm surge for southwest and especially south central Louisiana. So the Vermilion Bay, Terrebonne Bay, Atchafalaya Bay are going to see some major damage out of this because of storm surge. There'll be the threat for strong winds and tornadoes along and to the east of the track as well. So Lafayette and maybe even Port Allen and Baton Rouge, New Roads, into Natchez, Mississippi could be under the gun for tornadoes and damaging winds as the storm slowly weakens as it moves inland. It should weaken more quickly overnight, Friday night into Saturday morning. It should be a tropical storm by the time it gets close to Natchez and Vicksburg, Mississippi. But still severe weather expected over the weekend as the remains track northeast through Mississippi, maybe into the northwest corner of Alabama or southwest Tennessee. And then the remains head Sunday into the mid-south and Sunday evening into the mid-Atlantic states and Ohio Valley, maybe into Pennsylvania by then. So, the good news with the track is that it's not showing us a whole lot of uncertainty at this point. Models are very well clustered. The bad news is where it's going, and those are places that are still reeling from Hurricane Laura. So right now the Hurricane Center is going with a Category 3 hurricane, but mentions in their discussion the potential for maybe some stronger amount of intensification starting this evening. That's what we're kind of jumping on, and I'm going to show you guys why. I would be happy if it weren't that strong, but we're going to get you guys prepared just to be safe if it is that strong. And there's a chance it could still hit as a major hurricane as well. It will be weakening. It'll be past its peak, but it's going to be a large storm with an expanding wind field. So nonetheless, this will be devastating for some folks in southwestern and south central Louisiana. All right. Here's the Hurricane Center track. Currently, we have winds of 105 miles per hour. It's strengthened from 85 miles per hour, and that trend continues. The pressure is dropping into the 960s. And the majority of model guidance is showing 940s to 950s, which would be a major hurricane. Some guidance even stronger than that, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Here is the forecast track from the Hurricane Center. Again, looking very likely to come into southwest Louisiana. Notice the track has shifted west again, and this landfall point is about 5-10 miles east of where Laura came on shore. What are the odds of two major hurricanes hitting almost the exact same point 6 weeks in apart from each other? And the answer to that is extremely low. You'll need to ask the folks in Bermuda, and the folks on the east coast of Florida had to deal with that in 2004. But this is a very vulnerable part of the coastline. Hurricane warnings from just east of Galveston Bay. So you could have hurricane conditions even in southeast Texas, close to the Sabine Pass, but most likely the worst of it will be near to the east of that area across southwest and even south central Louisiana. Tropical storm warnings include southeastern Louisiana, Lake Maurepas, Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Bourne. Tropical storm watch for southwestern Mississippi, and a tropical storm warning for the Houston area and Galveston Bay, although I think the worst is going to end up east of Houston, and that's what we hope for at this point. Rainfall potential from this, it is going to be moving fairly quickly. Some places could pick up 10 inches of rain in southwestern Louisiana, maybe even up to Alexandria and Monroe, Louisiana. So I think flooding is certainly possible, freshwater flooding. This storm will be accelerating, so it's probably not going to put down quite as much rain as Laura, but will still be very significant near the track of the center. And we could have flooding issues all the way up into Kentucky and Ohio, even West Virginia out of this. And also an area we're watching is near Brevard, Pisgah Forest. Very close to the northeast corner of Georgia, northwest corner of South Carolina, and western North Carolina, where those three states meet. We've got some higher mountains there on the Blue Ridge, and those areas could pick up some upglide flash flooding. And that would be on Sunday, we expect, Sunday and early on Monday. So here's that flash flood potential, and you can see it's moderate here in southwest Louisiana, slight all the way up into Kentucky, and marginal farther along to the east. I think we need to include this area in the marginal, so we'll see what the Hurricane Center does with that. Peak storm surge right now not expected to be quite as high as Laura, 4 to 7 feet versus the 15 to 18 feet we saw in Laura, so about half that. But farther east, Marsh Island, right up through the central coast of Louisiana, 7 to 11 feet. So it's going to be a little bit lower than what we saw with Hurricane Laura, but still 11 feet of storm surge will cause significant damage. I do expect some coastal flooding through Lake Bourne, through the lakefront of New Orleans, and especially the North Shore, with southerly winds pushing that water onshore. Places like Covington, Mandeville, maybe not Covington itself, but Mandeville, Madisonville, those areas, maybe even Ponchatoula, something we'll have to watch for. There could even be some coastal flooding up into the Mobile Bay, hitting Gulf Shores and a lot of these barrier islands here, like Dauphin Island as well. The water will get pushed southward towards Galveston, where there could be some flooding as well on the western side of the circulation. So that's something to keep in mind. Here's a look at the coast of Louisiana. Laura hit right here, Cameron, and went right up through Calcasieu Lake, right on through Lake Charles. This storm right now, the track takes a little farther to the right, maybe hitting near Creole or Grand Chenier, coming through Lacassine National Wildlife Refuge, but could still come back to the west and hit Holly Beach dead on, or could come to the east and hit Pecan Island, go through White Lake and Grand Lake, and putting Lafayette, Rayne, Crowley, and Kaplan in the strongest area of winds, Abbeville as well. Could be very significant, maybe one of the worst storms for this area. Aircraft recon are in there. They're looking at the storm right now. They're seeing the winds have come up a little bit. Flight level winds earlier had reached over almost 100 knots, actually 103 knots, which is a high-end Category 2 storm. We'll have more planes going through, but the pressure has dropped from yesterday. It's not dropping quickly, but it is starting to drop. But notice that the storm is starting to make a bit of a right bend more to the northwest, which is, if you're in Texas, what you want to see. If you're in southwest Louisiana, of course, does not put you take you off the hook at this point. So we're going to see what the recon finds, but the one thing I will show you, on the satellite, we are now starting to see an eye forming, and that is a sign of intensification. The fact that we're getting more of a core going, so we're likely to see this thing getting to Category 3 this afternoon, and I think possibly a 4 by tomorrow morning, maybe even before daybreak. At that point, it'll be up in here. Based on what I'm seeing with the structure of the storm right now, it looks like a healthy storm. Wind shear is not getting to it at this point, and the waters are still pretty warm. On the visible, you can see that eye is starting to clear out now. You can see the thunderstorms towering over the northwestern and southeastern side of the storm, as well as the northeastern side of the storm. It's passing 24 west, so when it gets to 26, it'll be east of Brownsville and South Padre. When it gets to 28, it'll be east of Matagorda Bay. And 30, of course, gets it up to Louisiana. Here's the model guidance, and again, we're very well clustered now, very strong agreement that the storm rounds the bend of this high-pressure ridge in 24 hours. I think that's when it's at its strongest, and then makes a right turn and hits from the southwest, and eventually comes up through northeastern Louisiana and into the mid-south over the weekend. Intensity guidance right now, we are seeing the majority of the guidance showing some strengthening over the next 12 to 24 hours, and then it levels off. Landfall will be in 36 hours or maybe a little less, so of course it's weakening at that point. It may not weaken a whole lot before it hits, but it probably will be past its peak, unlike with Laura. So that's, I guess, some encouraging news, but nonetheless still a very powerful storm expected. I'm going Category 4 because I still think, from what I'm seeing, pressures can continue to drop with that eye forming, and I bet you it's going to be a little stronger than this here by 12 hours from now. We'll have to, of course, see. A look from Tropical Tidbits shows us the storm here tracking northwest today and tonight, and then turning north-northwest overnight, and tracking northward with a pressure of 945 on the HWRF model, and then gradually rising pressure up to 955 at landfall, which would be a high-end Category 2 or a low-end Category 3. The HMON is kind of more of the same. I'll show that to you real fast here. Shows pressure will get down into the mid-940s, 946 here at 2 in the morning, and then rising slowly into the mid and upper 950s. It weakens a little faster with landfall in the low 960s, which is a strong Category 2 storm, and it's a little bit farther right. But the one model that I will show you guys that is of concern is a European. This is from weathermodels.com. The 6Z run was run early this morning, and shows initializing pretty well with the pressure here, showing 970, but watch this. With the eye forming, it drops it to 963 this afternoon and into the upper 940s before dark tonight. Pressure drops into the 930s overnight and at its lowest at 935, which is definitely a Category 4 hurricane based on the DVORAK scale, and that's at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. Central Time. I'll show you that DVORAK. 935 puts you at 145 miles per hour. The winds may not get quite that strong, but I could see 130s, which would give us a Category 4. The good news is that with the pressure rising back into the 940s, it may end up going back to Category 3. But we could have a major hurricane strike on southwest Louisiana. That's something I'm definitely worried about. Here's why. The storm is going over the warmest part of the Gulf of Mexico west of 85 west. 28 degrees Celsius temperatures are still quite warm and can support a major hurricane. With the storm track up here, it's not going to hit the cooler waters until maybe 6 or 8 hours before it makes landfall. So it could still intensify all the way up to a point to when it's maybe 6 or 8 hours south of the coastline. After that, though, wind shear should start to get to it. You can see strong southwesterly wind shear ahead of this trough in Texas, and that should gradually cause weakening. But the more structure it can gain right now, the less that the shear is going to affect it until very close to landfall. And you can see a favorable wind shear in the next 6 to 12 hours, and this area of red is going to continue pushing northward as the ridge is still built in here. So that's something that concerns me and should concern you as well. This is our forecast map once again. I'll show you historical tracks. This is Laura. It's going to look kind of similar, but it's going to be hitting more from the southwest than the southeast. Probably will not be as strong as Laura. Gustav came out of the southeast, and that did a lot of damage to Baton Rouge and even Lafayette. Rita, which of course we can't forget in that 2005 season, was potentially the same intensity this storm will be, but hit near the Texas border. Lily was the only October storm I'm going to show you that was a major concern, and that was weakening to a strong Category 1, low-end Category 2. And that also hit out of the southeast. And the one storm that this storm is going close to the track of is Audrey in 1957. That did get to Category 4 as it hit. This one will probably be weaker, but it's the only storm that made it west of this magical line here, 92 west, and then made the right turn. So this will be kind of defining new climatology for Louisiana. We don't see storms hit from this angle in October too often. So this will be unlike any of the other storms we suspect. All right, that's all I've got for you all. Please be safe. I'll have another update for you around this time tomorrow. We may go live in the evening as the storm is making its approach to Louisiana. And my thoughts and prayers are with you guys here. We know it's been a really tough hurricane season. Unfortunately, this is not going to be any help to it. Even a Category 1 is not going to be anything to dismiss at this point. All right, folks, have yourself a great afternoon. Be safe. God bless.